Dr. Stephen Broughton. Our faculty athletics representative, Gerald Jordan, is with us today. Jennifer Yurachek and the Yurachek family are here. Our Deputy Athletics Director, John Fagg, and his wife, Amanda, are with us today. Coach Ken Hatfield, alongside his brother, Dick Hatfield. We've got several Razorback head coaches who are with us today. We're glad all of you are here. Members of the Razorback Foundation Board, and the man who led the football program through this coaching transition, Coach Barrett Lunny Jr. It is indeed an exciting time to be a Razorback as we officially welcome back Coach Sam Pittman and his wife Jamie to the state of Arkansas. And at this time, I'd like you to welcome a man to the podium who has worked tirelessly to find the next leader of the Razorbacks. We knew he was home when we saw the smoke rising. Let's welcome our Vice Chancellor and Director of Athletics, Hunter Yurachek.
Wow, what a crowd. Good afternoon, and thank you for being here as we gather together as a Razorback family to welcome our new head football coach back to the University of Arkansas. I look forward to introducing you to Coach Pittman and his wife Jamie in a few minutes, but first I want to take this opportunity for a couple of thank yous. And I would be remiss if I didn't start by thanking Coach Barrett Lunny Jr. for serving our football program as the interim head coach during a very challenging stretch. He poured his heart into our student athletes and our program during the past 4 weeks, and I cannot thank him enough for taking on this role for our university. So, Coach Lunny, thank you. And I want to thank the men sitting over here to my right, some of the members of our football team, our student athletes who I know have endured so much during the past 4 to 5 weeks, and I want to thank you guys for hanging in there with me. Great days are ahead for our football program, I promise you that. And please bear with me, because over the past few weeks, as I have led this search, there have been a number of people that have supported me and assisted me with this search that I want to thank. First, our University System President, Dr. Donald Bobbitt, our University Chancellor, Joe Steinmetz, who's here with us today, our incredible Board of Trustees led by our Chairman, Mr. John Goodson, and my right hand for the past couple of weeks, Mr. Steve Cox, who has been a tireless worker, Virginia. I'm glad you can have him back now. I also want to thank from our Board of Trustees, Mr. Ed Fryer. Mr. Fryer's right here. He allowed us to use his somewhat untrackable plane for this search. And I want to thank his pilots, Blake and Ricky. They had a lot of fun with their flight trackers trying to hide where that plane was going to and from. So thank you so much for allowing us to use your plane for the search. It makes my job so much easier to have access to that. I want to acknowledge our Deputy Athletic Director, John Fagg, and his wife, Amanda. Where's John? John, stand up. John has been by my side throughout this and an invaluable resource. And I think John and I both agree that we've seen enough of each other for the past 2 weeks, and for sure, John, thank you. I echo that sentiment. And there have been a number of people behind the scenes that have helped me with this search, led by our external team and our Deputy AD, Rick Thorpe, who put this event together, and another incredible rollout for our new head coach. I want to thank our legal counsel, our Chief Legal Counsel, Matt McCoy, for his role, our Deputy AD and CFO, Clayton Hamilton, for his role, Alicia Venables and our travel office for helping us with our travel arrangements, and of course my administrative assistant, Leanne Bowles. A big thank you to all those folks. And finally, for my family, and 2 of my boys are here with me, Ryan and Brooks, and my son Jake, of course, is a student athlete on the football team. This has not been an easy time for them, and especially to my wife. I know this was a very stressful couple of weeks as she watched me go through this process, but I can assure you I came home last night, and if you remember, after the Coach Musselman search, we had a new puppy, no new dogs at the house last night. So we made it through virtually unscathed. You know, as I talked to coaches around the nation about this opportunity, it reaffirmed to me what I believe about our program. The University of Arkansas football program is one of great tradition and great pride, and with the right leader can have great success within the Southeastern Conference. I know for many of us in the Razorback Nation, coaching searches can last much longer than we prefer. But it was important that we took our time to find a great coach and also to identify a coach who truly wanted to be here at the University of Arkansas and clearly understands our state and the expectations we have for our football program. It was important to find a coach that operates with the utmost integrity, both on and off the field, and hires a staff that carries the same positive attributes that they will carry on to our team on and off the field. It was important to find a coach who had experience in the SEC, winning battles on the recruiting trail, winning battles in the trenches on the field, and who had a track record for developing NFL-ready players. From the first time I spoke to Coach Pittman, he made it clear to me he and his wife, Jamie, wanted to be at the University of Arkansas. He understood the tradition and the pride of our program, and he wanted to be a part of the building process to restore this pride and tradition. I assure you, he is not intimidated by the mountain our football program has to climb in the Southeastern Conference Western Division. He told me this: you don't need to worry, he was not focused on his salary or what his buyout was going to be. He confidently told me, you don't need to worry about your buyout unless you're planning on failing. I'm not going to fail. I'm not going to let down our student athletes. I'm not going to let down our fan base. I'm not going to let down the University of Arkansas. I promise you together, we will build a winning football program. It was so easy to feel the passion he has for this state, the passion he has for the Razorback football program, and the passion he has for developing young men on and off the field. Around the SEC and across the country, Sam Pittman is known for his relentless recruiting, the tough and physical play of the players he coaches, and the development of NFL-ready linemen, and more importantly, the development of young men. The impact that Sam and Jamie Pittman clearly had on the Razorback football program and this community during their previous time here made it hard for me to believe that they had only been here for 3 years. As I quickly found out last night, they have touched the lives of so many people within our community and across this state. It is indeed an exciting day for our football program as we welcome back to Arkansas and introduce our new head football coach. And so without further ado, I want to turn it over to John George, our longtime public address announcer, for the official introduction.
All right, Razorback fans, are you ready to stand up? Let's stand up and call those Hogs!
Your eyes on your feet. More than anything, play the game confidently. Be a badass. You know what I mean? Yes!
Now, Razorback fans, let's welcome back to the Hill, joined by his wife, Jamie, the head coach of your Arkansas Razorbacks, Sam Pittman.
Yes, sir. Let's go Hogs. Well, I have some news for you. I was watching that video back there, and I had fooled myself thinking I lost a little weight since I was here. Wrong. I want to thank Hunter Yurachek, John Fagg, and Steve Cox, Board of Trustees, and Chancellor Steinmetz. You know, I met some of these guys yesterday. It was yesterday, wasn't it now? And I tell you what, great people that are in charge of the University of Arkansas, and people that love the university. And I want to thank Judy Henry. She's awesome. And she helped me. I think what she did was she bugged Hunter a lot. And but she did a great job. She called me, and she thought I could get the job. She thought I deserved the job. And by golly, I wanted it. And so she helped me very much. I want to thank the University of Georgia. Kirby Smart has been very good to me. We had a good run there, and I had some really good players there, good kids. And I want to thank Kirby for being so kind to Jamie and I. I want to thank my wife. She was the first six-star back in 1986. So my recruiting skills started a long time ago. Stand up. We want our program to reflect the great state of Arkansas. And I'm not a big slogan guy or anything like this, but we're going to work hard. We're going to be blue collar about it. We're going to be tough. We're going to earn what we get, and we're going to go after it. Well, the traditions of the state have calling the hogs. You going to sell me a house? There's only one Razorback. Isn't it the greatest mascot of all times? Not going to do it. I need that. The coaching tradition with Frank Broyles and, of course, Ken Hatfield sitting here. How you going to get better than that? Can't. But I'm going to work hard. In recruiting, guys, there's a lot about recruiting. I mean, we have to recruit our own players. I think that's the first thing we need to do. We got to get in here and recruit our own players. We have to recruit our future players. We have to recruit our future coaches. And we have to recruit our alumni and our past players. We need them all back to be Arkansas strong once again. I have had my phone, I don't know the number, but I have my new phone and my old phone. And I've had 500 plus messages from coaches you would be shocked, or you might not be, who want to come to the University of Arkansas. So it would be very hard for me to believe that if the coaching world wants to come to the University of Arkansas, how come we can't get the players in our state and across the nation to feel the same way, and I believe we can. Honestly, I believe we will. As your head coach, as you can tell, this means a lot, you know. No. I'm done. Y'all, I don't deserve that. Thank you. But I want to earn your trust. The only way I know how to do it is be loyal to you, be honest with you, and go work hard. And that's what we're going to do. I'm a wreck. I did some pretty good interviews today. They were good. There's easy, question about the hog and all that. I just, boom. But I'm humble, excited to be your coach, and we'll do the best we can for you. We're not going to promise. We're going to promise we're going to work our butt off for the University of Arkansas. We're going to get it done. Thank you so much.
You did a great job. We're going to transition over here. Folks, let's hear it again for Coach Sam Pittman. You sit right here.
Okay. This side. All right, that's it. Y'all sit down.
What have the last 24 hours? What have they been like for you and Jamie?
Hey, Robbie. Well, I cried twice. I cried whenever he offered me a job, and I just did then in front of, seemed like a lot of folks. Stupid. The last 24 hours have been awesome. You know, they came to see us, and we got in a plane. It's a nice plane, by the way. And we flew in here. Greatest thing, I got to talk to the team. Team was so awesome. You know, they set up, they looked at me. I hope they felt my passion towards the program. And then today was, I really don't remember about today, but I know I did a lot of photo shoots. They had me doing all kinds of stupid stuff, you know what I mean? And all that, you know what I mean? I guarantee you Coach Hatfield wouldn't have done it. But by golly, Coach Pittman did.
I was going to say. Coach, I look out, I see a lot of former players. A lot of your former players had a big hand in you being here today.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Oh, they're awesome. I mean, it is players, and now they're out in the community just kicking butt. You know, I mean, they're great kids, married, babies. But when they wrote that letter to Hunter about me, it was awesome. I told Jamie at that time, if we don't ever get the job, that letter's good enough. It was awesome. It was great.
You have earned the reputation as being a great recruiter, a great relationship builder. You talked about recruiting the guys you got and then branching out from there. Tell us a little bit about relationship building and why that's so important to you.
Well, I think it's the only way you're going to have a chance to get somebody to believe in you. You know, if I don't know something, it's like going to class. If you go to class 50% of the time, and the teacher doesn't know who you are, you have no relationship with you, don't be shocked you get an F in the class. It's the same way with recruiting. It's the same way with building relationships. It has to be constant. It has to be honest. It has to be sincere. And you have to recruit everybody in that family. and you have to do it a lot in any spell in that. And that's what you got to do with your own team, though. I told them last night, I said, communication or the lack thereof, communication going to kill our program, so we're not going to have it. We're going to have plenty of it. And I wanted them to come see me and talk to me. But recruiting's the same way. Recruiting's just about getting to know each other.
You lead a football life in so many ways and have led a football life in so many ways. The last 8 years in the league, many years coaching other leagues or in other leagues prior to that, how has all that prepared you for this?
Well, I learned a lot from a lot of good coaches. Bush Davis was a good coach, and of course Kirby Smart's a good coach, and I could go on and on and on. But I think the main thing that it prepares you for is how difficult it is to recruit in the SEC and to understand what it takes, what you need player-wise, coaches-wise to compete in the SEC. And I heard Hunter, by the way, that was I was wondering who that guy you was talking about when I was standing back there. That was awesome. I was waiting to see if it was me, and I was like, but anyway, I think that I lost my train of thought.
You were talking about the coaches you've learned from and all the things that have gotten you ready for the day.
Well, and I think this, that getting these big people, getting size, getting talent, getting all those things, everybody has to have it. And I learned basically, I thought I knew how to recruit until I went to Georgia and worked with Kirby Smart, and that was recruiting on steroids. I mean, that's what it is. And it's relentless, it's all the time. So I really learned a lot from Kirby about the passion of recruiting. And I've done well recruiting in my life, but he prepared me more for this head coaching job. I appreciate him for that.
In terms of being a head coach philosophically, you know, people are familiar with you as an offensive line coach. What about Sam Pittman as a head coach now?
Well, again, I want to run a program that's loyal, that's disciplined, that is tough, that scores more points than they do. You know, the thing about our players is, you know, they hired an O-line coach, you know, and all we want to do is score more than they do. And so if we come out here and we're in an RPO system, if we're not 3 yards in a cloud of dust, unless that's the way we got to win the game, and then we'll be 3 yards in a cloud of dust. But that's not what an O-line coach is about. An O-line coach is about trying to score more points than the opponent. And so we're going to be aggressive. We're going to be tough. Fundamentals, if you hear the NFL guys right now, that's the biggest thing that's gone from the game. And it wasn't from his team. And so we're going to we're going to stress the fundamentals of the game and the toughness of the game and seeing what you block and pre-snap reads. And we're going to go back to the base fundamentals of football, and we're going to be tough. And then after that, we're going to worry about the next thing. But if we can get that done, we can win a lot of games just going that far.
And let's wrap it up by talking about what made you want to come back to Arkansas, you and Jamie. What was it about this place? What is it about this place?
I don't know. You know, when I came here in 1978, the summer of 1979, and I was a one-star athlete out there at camp. And I thought I was going to get a scholarship to Arkansas. Lou Holtz was the coach. And I fell in love with the place. Now, my uncle had been out in his car and listening to the Razorback games on the radio. Seemed like he did it every Saturday, so the car must not have been in very good shape. But he was out there doing it. And I just fell in love with Arkansas. And then we graduated over at Grove, which is 75 miles or so from here, and most of the people in the state of Oklahoma are Oklahoma State, and I was Arkansas Razorback. And I don't know, I just always had a love for Arkansas. And then whenever we got an opportunity to come back here 7 years ago now, it seems shorter than that, but 7 years ago from now, that was one of Jamie and I's dreams. And of course, coming back now, it's whatever's better than a dream.
You want to call the Hogs as the head coach?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's stand up and do it. All right, Coach, you want to lead us? Here we go.
Yeah, I do. Woo! Hey, Sully! Woo! Hey, Sully! Woo! Hey, Sully! Razorbacks! You do it?
Good. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our program. We thank you for being here. Coach is going to go to the press conference. Go Hogs!
Razorback fans, feel free to remain in your seats and watch the live stream of head coach Sam Pittman's inaugural press conference. As the head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks, once again, feel free to remain in your seats and watch the stream of head coach Sam Pittman's inaugural press conference.
All right, that was Sam Pittman's introductory to the Arkansas fans. Again, we're going to have his live press conference, which we will be also streaming here shortly. I think Zach and Arns might pop in for just a sec, and then we'll come back to that press conference. But just stick it here on ESPN Arkansas. Again, we got it covered for you. 95.3 in Fort Smith in the River Valley, 96.3 Hot Springs, Central Arkansas, 104.3 Harrison Mountain Home, as well as hitthatline.com, and then up there in Northwest Arkansas at ESPN 99.5. So, again, we will be picking up the audio shortly here at the press conference. Sam Pittman has to make his way over to the media side of things. We'll be doing that. Tommy, you got a chance to listen to this. You came in here in a little after, a couple minutes after it started. What'd you think? I mean, I thought we joke all the time, coaches win the press conference. Can they win the press conference? That's a big deal. I'd say based on how emotional he was, based on some of his answers, his staying away from quotes and catchphrases, I thought he did a pretty good job of doing that.
Yeah, I thought he represented all the values you want in a football coach, all the values you want instilled back in this program. You mentioned how emotional he was. This is important to him. That was clear and obvious, was how important this job is, not just to be a head coach, but why at Arkansas. So did he win the press conference? Yes. But we've had Chad Morris won the press conference. So at the end of the day, it's about winning football games. But today, I think he won over a lot of fans. That's a great start. And, he's clearly a guy that has a way about him in winning over players, their families, and being able to attract the type of players he's going to need to win here at Arkansas. So great start. I think a lot of fans that were maybe riding the fence, a little unsure, because let's face it, how much do you really know about an offensive line coach that was here a few years ago with Brett Bielema? Probably not a lot for the casual fan. Today they got a full education on Sam Pittman. So I think he's probably put some nerves at ease for some fans today that really weren't very certain about who Sam Pittman was.
Yeah, and I think the cool connection that Clay Henry brought up on the morning rush was the fact that Grove High School, and I looked at 72.9 miles away. I actually have a buddy that now works out there. It's not far from Fayetteville, and the fact that there's a lot of Sooners fans, that's predominantly what Oklahoma is, followed by Oklahoma State Cowboys fan, but he grew up a Razorback. That's who we wanted to be, and he mentioned that he wasn't going to get a scholarship based on the athlete he was, but Lou Holtz, but he still had that fandom despite that.
And it makes you wonder what took so long for the paths to cross. Why did it take till 2013 for Sam Pittman to be a coach at Arkansas? It's all worked out for the way it's worked out, and here he is as the 34th head coach of the Razorbacks.
Yeah, and you could just tell. And again, there's a fine line between being passionate about your job and then like going back and forth and just trying to give a bunch of catchphrases and slogans. But what he kept going back to is, we're going to be tough, we're going to work hard, and we're going to come from that perspective, which he liked. And I mean, it wasn't that to me. I mean, we watched it and we heard it. That didn't seem like fake emotion to me.
Yeah. I was reading a tweet. Johnny Gibson, former offensive lineman at Arkansas, quoted or tweeted yesterday that Sam Pittman had told him, hey, any player I've coached for 4 years had a chance to play in the NFL. I mean, they made it in the NFL. Doesn't mean they got drafted, but they had at least a free agent shot in the NFL. And for Johnny Gibson, that stuck with him. And he knew what he had in Sam Pittman. That's the kind of head coach you're getting, a guy that knows how to prepare players to go to the next level, particularly offensive linemen. And that's his track record. Where's Arkansas most efficient in the program right now? It's clearly the offensive line. So this is a head coach that can make a difference where you need the difference made the most.
Yeah, and I think kind of what you're referring to, this is more of a team aspect, but you look at two coaches, one being in Arkansas, one up at East Lansing. One of Tom Izzo's preaches to his players is he says, we go to a Final Four if you stay to your senior year. Like, that's his record. Dave Van Horn, it's been quicker than that as of late. I mean, obviously they've been back-to-back, and they've had that. There was a few stretches when he first started, it was like 5 years or whatever. But for an individual coach, and I know that he's going to have to recruit a lot more around now because he's moving from an offensive line coach to a head coach. But for him to have that track record that he does have, I know 24/7 ranked him the third best recruiter at his coaching position, then also number one in the SEC. That's going to speak volumes. And when your program is where it's at right now, you have to have an hellacious recruiter that can turn this sucker around and turn it around fast.
Well, make no doubt about it. Georgia football, the University of Georgia, did not get better when Sam Pittman left. A lot of times programs get better when a coach leaves because you got a chance to make a massive upgrade. Arkansas got better when guys like Kurt Anderson were no longer coaching the offensive line.
Correct.
Arkansas clearly got worse as a football program when Sam Pittman left. But make no mistake about it, Georgia's not in a better spot. They'll hire a good offensive line coach. They got plenty of money and resources. And Kirby Smart's a great head coach. He'll find an able assistant to take that role. They won't be as good as Sam Pittman.
Yeah.
And there's just I just don't think there's any argument to that.
I just got a text from our buddy John Neighbors, who is live in Fayetteville. We should be connected, so we're going to direct you back to the press conference as we speak. More Sam Pittman talk coming up. Well,
Check
I say
1,
that,
2,
Tommy. He says we're connected, but we'll fill in this time again. They had to move Sam Pittman over to the media area, so there's a little bit. For those who remember Eric Musselman's press conference, they had to do the same similar thing where they had the Q&A with Chuck and Barrett. Well, they had his opening with Hunter, and they had the Q&A with Chuck, and then they did the media.
Mic check
session.
1, 2, Seth,
You're
you
really
got me.
getting a full intake of everything that he's saying today, and I think. It's good. I think this is good because you can have kind of the fluff stuff that you're going to get from the university, like portraying him as that, and then you're going to get some good, insightful questions. You're hearing some just good audio for him out today, and I think you'll get some more inquisitive questions, obviously, from media members who are trying to figure out kind of what his plan is.
Yeah, you want to know who the coordinators are going to be, who his O-line coach is going to be, who his strength and conditioning coach is going to be. And he can't tell you, I'm going to see Jacoby Criswell tonight. There's certain restrictions on what he can say recruiting wise, but I want to know, how do you split your time between hiring assistants, hiring coordinators, and recruiting over these next 9 days that are critical until the early signing period opens? That's really the challenge right now for Sam Pittman. Assemble staff, recruit the players that are on your roster now, and also make the most out of the 2020 class, which has the early signing period in days, not weeks.
And you mentioned Criswell. Nikki Chavanel of Rivals reported today that he will be talking with Criswell. And I know that you saw a bunch of different players with the eye emoji once he was announced as the hire, because I guarantee you, Tommy, we've heard from a lot of different players about how he is a player's coach, the connection and stuff. I guarantee you that they let the rest of the team know, who are currently actually on the roster, since there's a lot of former players, give this guy a chance, see who you like. And it seems like that's really helping even prospective recruits that are still looking to commit and ultimately not just commit but sign with the University of Arkansas.
Clearly you have a player's coach. I mean, the letter they spoke about today and Hunter Yurachek spoke about, Sam Pittman was so emotional about, speaks volumes about what his current players who are very sad he's left Georgia and what his former players at Arkansas think of him. This is a guy that builds strong bonds and relationships with his players. And that's going to speak volumes to the current players that don't know him, that, hey, you know, these former players are going to let them know what they're in for. And I think that'll go a long way to telling guys, hey, you got to hold on here. Plus, they also have an academic semester to get through as well.
Correct.
So, yeah, another week or 10 days of that before you really need to make a final decision about where you would go. So this will all take care of itself in time. I have very little doubt Sam Pittman will do a great job of winning over the key players he's got to win over. And a lot of these young players that you're really counting on, particularly in the offensive side of the ball, Ty, they don't want to go somewhere and sit a year. And that's the situation they would be in. Mm-hmm. To go from playing in 8 or 9 or 10 or 12 ball games this year, even though you didn't win many, to sitting next year, that's not real appetizing to a lot of those guys.
And I think what Morris was able to do with some of these higher caliber recruits is bring them in on the idea that they would get some playing time. And you hope that it's eventually challenged by more and more players that he can bring in. But at this point, like a lot of these younger guys, their playing time's just going to increase. It's just going to go up. It's not going to go down. It's going to go up. And you mentioned just kind of how him having to like adjust quickly and stuff. Early signing period's December 18th.
Right.
Less than 10 days away.
9 days out.
You have to be this next couple days are so crucial that not only does he have to keep the kids on campus that he currently has, these in-state kids that are still committed to the University of Arkansas, you have to sell them on your vision. And then the ones that decommitted, I still think there's a chance that they can bring some of them back to this roster. But obviously, Arkansas took a big hit today with Jeff Traylor, running backs coach, deciding he's going to go to UTSA. He signed there, so you wonder not only about Rakeem Boyd, but a lot of these East Texas kids that he's done a really good job recruiting to the Hill.
Yeah, that is a shot for another opening he'll have to fill, but someone I think that Sam Pittman, just based on some things that were on Twitter last week, piecing together some timelines, I think Jeff Traylor is a guy he definitely wanted to have on his staff.
Yeah, I think he was one of the ones that you kind of
almost sight unseen.
Because was it Clay that said that Barry Lunny Jr. and Jeff Traylor have been told reportedly that they would have their jobs?
The place I saw it was Mike Irwin had tweeted
Mike Irwin had put it out.
But you think about the timeline and when all of things kind of went down, this it all makes sense now. So
yeah, and so you lose one assistant, you don't know what's going to happen with the future of these others, and I think it's just one of those things where things are going to happen relatively quickly based on the fact that it should be one of those things where you got to get stuff done. And by the way, we're still waiting on Sam Pittman. John is said it's going to happen very shortly, so we'll be directing you to that press conference with the media with the introduction of Sam Pittman, so we'll be getting to that shortly. But there's got to be some quick decisions that have to be made, Tommy. This is just a difficult situation. It's one thing that he really wants the job, but he's got to really get things going at a fast pace, and you got to make these decisions. And this is not going to be an easy thing for him to make the decisions quickly and accurately at the same time these next couple
Well,
days.
I mean, that's one thing we talked about this morning, and Clay brought up. A head coach has about 80 to 100 decisions a day to make regarding this program, some more important than others. Maybe only half a dozen of them are really important decisions, but there's still 100 decisions a day. Think about that. 100 decisions come across your desk a day to make.
How many come through your desk a day?
Not 100, thank the Lord.
200?
But it may be something as simple as, do you want to stay at the Hilton or the Hyatt? Do you want, ham sandwiches or turkey sandwich? It may be simple decisions like that.
But it's rapid,
but you got to make a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them, though, a handful of them are 5 or 6 really important decisions you got to get right.
Yeah, and especially as a first-time head coach at the Division I level, it's going to be interesting. You heard him, if you got a chance to listen earlier with Chuck Barrett and Hunter Yurachek, him talking with them, the fact that he learned a lot from Kirby Smart, not only recruiting, but just the coaching, being a head coach as well. And that's going to be very important for a guy that is taking over a program that is probably at its lowest point, and he's never done this type of position. It's one thing to be an associate head coach. It's one thing to be an offensive line coach in the SEC. It is a completely different animal, Tommy, when you become the head coach of a faltering program, and that's what Arkansas is right now. No one seems to want to admit where the program state actually is, and if they do, I think it's kind of underwhelming to a certain extent, but he's in probably the most difficult situation he's ever been as a coach, right? Is that unfair to put him and say that based on where Arkansas is as a football program?
Yes and no, because it's the best opportunity he's ever had, because he's never been a head coach. He's never made the kind of money he's going to make here at Arkansas. And what an opportunity at 58 years old he is, to finish out his career. If he could return this game, not to a Western Division or an SEC title, although those would be just tremendous accomplishments, but put the program on the right path, get back to maybe a 9 or 10 win season again before he calls it a day as a football coach. What a crowning achievement to go out with a 5, 7, 8 year run as a head coach. What an opportunity he has in front of him. I don't think anyone is thinking you hired Sam Pittman, you're going to win a national title. You hired Sam Pittman, you're going to the college football playoff. You've hired Sam Pittman, you're going to win the Western Division in the next 5 years. He may do all of those things, but if Sam Pittman could just get this program back to winning an average of 7.5 or 8 ball games once you get through these first couple of years, because that's going to drag the average down. But once he gets past that, years 3, 4, 5, 6, and you hope it lasts that long, if he can get you back to winning 7 or 8 on an average in those years, I think it's a pretty good start to getting this program rebuilt. Nobody wants to hear it's going to take that long, but folks, that's the reality of where you're at when you've been 4-20 the last 2 seasons.
Do you think that's what Mike Anderson did with the basketball program to a certain extent, where he got it to where that next guy was set up? Because I think that's why a lot of people are still really appreciative of what he was able to accomplish with the basketball program, because it was obvious that he brought it to a level that it had. Again, it's not Nolan's level, it's not Eddie's level, but it was still better than what it had been.
But Mike didn't take over the disaster that Chad Morris took over and made worse. It was bad when Chad Morris took it over.
That's fair.
And then Chad Morris did nothing but make it worse. Sam Pittman's taking it over at its absolute historical low. What Mike Anderson did was impressive over his time at Arkansas, but he did not have the historical low in the program to rebuild from.
And you look at when Tommy mentions its historical low, you haven't had back-to-back losing seasons since 1941 through 1943. That's 70-plus years, Tommy. Like that.
Well, I think that defines a historical low.
Yeah, that's why. Like some people say, "Oh, you're being over-dramatic. You're being too much." I mean,
get a media guide. Look it up.
I was going to say, when you actually dig in and look at where the program has been, and like statistically, your 2 worst seasons when you just look at the 2-10 aspect of it. That's not like us just pulling something out of left field trying to.
It's not hyperbole.
No, it's legitimate. Like you could legitimately make a case of what we're doing and saying. And so for him to come in a situation, yes, the passion and stuff, but I don't know if people realize how difficult this uptick is going to be. Like you can say, it's going to be insurmountable, or you can say that he's facing more pressure than anyone's, or not necessarily pressure, but more obstacles than anyone has ever faced as the U of A head football coach. But it's just, it's an uphill battle, man, that it has to get, something has to happen in the first year where you can be confident moving forward, which didn't happen under Chad Morris. There were signs under Bielema. You can hate Bielema all you want, Tommy, as a fan and whatever, and I get that because of what happened with the program, but there were at least signs in year one where you could say, oh, this might happen, I could actually see something moving forward in the future. Because
the recruiting was there early in. Sam Pittman was there early in. A great staff was there early on. And it never all came together once the first initial staff of wonderful assistants that Brett Bielema put together fell apart, and those guys started leaving town for other jobs. The recruiting He was not able to replace those assistants. That's going to be the key here. One thing Chad Morris did, and did well, because he gets basically no credit for anything, is his recruiting plan was working.
Mm-hmm.
He was finding recruits. He was finding players. There are good young players for Sam Pittman and the staff he puts together to work around and to work with. Unfortunately, not enough of them are linemen, and that's where Sam Pittman's specialty's at. I'll be interested to see how many, if any, of those linemen committed to Georgia are committed to Sam Pittman. Maybe you get one or two there. And then how many in that next tier that maybe weren't quite good enough, Ty, to make it to Georgia, and they're committed at a little lower tier division or FBS program, would have an opportunity to help improve this Arkansas program on that offensive line, and they come here over the next 9 days.
Tommy, I was looking
It's
at
going to be interesting to see.
I was looking at some of his recruits this morning. I believe he has the #1 offensive tackle committed in 24/7 of all of them in high school football, which is interesting.
Where's he from?
He has 4 linemen from 4 different states, and I think one of them is from Georgia, and that is true.
You're probably not going to get the guy from Georgia, but you may get a guy from Tennessee, or I don't know where these other guys are from, but geography is going to matter on that plan.
And that's what helped him so much at Georgia, is the fact that you're in such a fertile area in terms of recruiting.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the big dog of the state. Georgia Tech doesn't hold a candle to Georgia football in that state. I know you're having to fend off LSU, Florida
Auburn.
State, Clemson, and some of those other
Auburn.
schools.
They're right across the border. Alabama's 2 hours from Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, you have that, but at the same, like, there's so many kids down there. And so what I thought was interesting is when he talked about in that celebratory announcement that he'd gotten over 500 texts from different coaches across college football wanting to coach at Arkansas, which may be a little out there as a number. He might be embellishing it a slight bit, but his point I thought was valid. If all these coaches want to come coach with me at Arkansas, despite where the program is in its current state, the same, like
they want to come coach with Sam Pittman.
Yeah, but wouldn't the comparison be the similar, like the point he made, the fact that players would want to play for, not necessarily for the U of A because of where it's been as a national perspective the last couple of years, but Pittman himself, he can overdo what people think about Arkansas in terms of just the national landscape, right?
And I believe he'll end up getting a lineman or two to come with him, and then I think he'll make a turnaround in these next 9 days and get 3 to 5 linemen you weren't going to get otherwise. And they may not be guys that were committed to Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lineman at Conway that was committed to Ole Miss. There's other SEC caliber
kid out of
linemen.
West Memphis that's #1 in the state. I'm not scoffing at that. You're not.
No.
Like that, because you don't have
You know what's? It's better than what you have now.
Exactly.
It's an improvement over where you're at now. And you look at a guy like Sam Pittman that knows how to take you from where you're at now as a player and give you a shot to play in the NFL. That's his track record. That's all these guys want, is a chance to play on Sundays. Sam Pittman can do that. And that's not an opinion. That's fact.
Backed up by his resume.
By his resume of
Exactly.
players he's put in the NFL.
Mhm.
One of them here at Arkansas, a guy named Frank Ragdow.
Yeah.
You know,
And-
that's I guess would be chief amongst them, right?
And I think the perfect parallel we could use is who's coaching the basketball program right now. You pull in 4 of the top 5 in-state kids, top 100 kids. What did they continuously say? What did their parents continuously say? How up-to-date Eric Musselman and his staff are in terms of showing these kids what they can project to in his system and at the next level. So what does Sam Pittman and his staff need to do with some of these linemen, some of these other kids? Point to, this kid is doing this in the NFL, this kid is doing this, this kid got drafted here. It's the same type of idea where you're showing with so many kids wanting to get to the next level. But that's a big thing. Got an update?
All right, sounds like they're getting ready to begin the press conference here in Fayetteville, so we'll
We got mics. Yep.
there I
All right, real quick. Just
Here we
make
go.
sure everybody's on the same page. For questions, if you guys can make sure you raise your hand, we'll get a mic to you just like we do for our normal press conferences. Different from that, please introduce yourself and let us know what outlet you're with. Coach remembers some faces, but not all of them. So please introduce yourself before you ask any questions. Order will be Hunter will come up, make an opening statement, and then we'll have Coach Pittman come up, have a statement, and answer questions, and we'll let him go. He's got some hands to shake, and then we'll have questions for Hunter. All right, without any further ado, Hunter.
Well, good afternoon. Obviously, it'd be an understatement for me to say I'm relieved that this process has come to an extremely successful conclusion. As I said earlier, I set out with no specific timetable to find a coach who could bring back the tradition of our football program. It is a football program that has an incredible tradition when you look at the fact that we've won a national championship, into 42 bowl games, 13 conference championships. It's time for our football program to no longer be at the bottom of the Southeastern Conference. And I think we have found the right man to do that. It was my goal to find somebody that was a relentless recruiter. And I think if you do your research, you will find that Sam Pittman is known across the Southeastern Conference and across this country as a relentless recruiter. And that's one of the things that's going to help us turn this program around. Not only is he a relentless recruiter, he understands how to recruit within the Southeastern Conference. And that is not an easy task. That's something where you really have to get in the trenches, and you got to understand what you're doing. You got to understand the types of student athletes that you need to pursue that are going to turn this around. The other place we really have to improve, if you watch their football program, is in the trenches. And we needed a coach that understood how to win a football game in the trenches. Sam Pittman has proven he knows how to win football games in the trenches on both sides of the ball and how to develop a tough football team. And I think that's what you're going to get from a football team at the University of Arkansas led by Sam Pittman, is a tough football team. And that third criteria is I wanted somebody that wanted to be at the University of Arkansas. Not someone just wanted a job as a head football coach in the Southeastern Conference. That's important, but I wanted somebody that wanted to be at the University of Arkansas. And when I offered him that job yesterday, and he broke down in tears, and his wife broke down in tears, I understood how important this job was to him, how important this football program was to him, and how important this entire state was to him. And I can't tell you how reassuring that is as a director of athletics to turn your football program over to somebody that wants to be here and wants to see this program successful. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce to you, members of the media, our new head football coach, Sam Pittman. And apparently we've got to take a picture up here, Coach.
Okay.
Away from the microphone, because that doesn't work. Right here.
All right, we'll wait. Hello, everybody. I'm honored to be here, honored to be the head football coach at the University of Arkansas. I want to thank Hunter for allowing that to happen, and several others, along with Chancellor Steinmetz. The only way I know how to fix something is to go to work. And I believe that you can recruit, and in recruiting, you're going to have to recruit your team that you have now. You're going to have to recruit them to believe in what you're trying to get accomplished. You have to recruit the people that are going to come in to be part of the next team. You have to recruit coaches to come in. You know, since I got the job, I had over 400 or 500 text messages, and of those text messages, there's a lot of people in America that think about the Arkansas Razorbacks same way I do. And you might be shocked, you might not, to see some of the coaches that want to come here and be a part of Arkansas football and where they're at right now, and not unemployed, but great programs around the country. I've kind of always felt that way about Arkansas ever since I was a kid. And I want to tell you something. You guys were really good to me when I was here last time. You let me take my shoes off when I wanted to. Sometimes I'd take my socks off too, but y'all didn't seem to mind. You was good to me. I understand you're going to report like you need to report. I understand that too. But I'm going to go to work. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to hire a good football staff. We're trying to get them in as fast as we can. But to say I'm proud to be the head coach at Arkansas is an understatement. So with that said, I figure y'all ask some questions for me.
Hey, Sam, Tom Murphy, Arkansas Democrat Gazette. You spoke in the room over there a little bit about style, but what can you say about the offensive philosophy you want to run? And we know you can recruit the big guys, but you got Traylon Burks, Trey Knox, pretty boys. How those guys are going to operate this year?
Well, you know, if you look at the RPO game with the ability for your quarterback to run and or throw, you know, nowadays if you get big, if you're going 12 plus, you go 12, 22, 21 plus in this league, you better have the real deal now, because they're going to have guys with 320, 330 pounds on the other side. So I'm not telling you that the philosophy has gone to spread, because that's a lie. But I think you do have to have an edge covered. But I don't think you can just turn around down and hand the ball off to the tailback and say, hey, let's go sick them. You might be able to do it in the third and fourth quarter. But so what we want is we want to be versatile. I love the RPO game. I like the quarterback read game. And I like 11, which one tight end, 3 wideouts. And I like to throw the flash screens and different things of that is into the RPO system. Again, when I was here the first time at Arkansas, we played bully ball. And it worked for us at times, and sometimes it didn't. It's like football. I think there's a time to bully people as well, but you better have the guys who are going to try to bully somebody. So right now, it'd be more of a pin and pull, more of an RPO system, things where we can get angles in blocking and edges as fast as we can with either read style or pulling linemen to get out there.
Yeah, Pete Roulier, hogsports.com. I was just wondering if you had a chance to maybe watch film yet, and then what's your overall thoughts of what the roster that you've been left with?
Well, I watch film because at Georgia we would play, you know, teams that Arkansas would play as well. So you'd see, obviously I coached the offensive line, so I'd see Arkansas's offense, you know, and they have some. I thought we have some good skill players, and we've got overall talent. I think we're just going to have to get a little bit bigger, and but there was games like the Texas A&M game where I thought we looked pretty good. So we need to get that team out there a little bit more often and continue to work on adding to our football team. But yeah, I did see them. I did see our team, and they're like any team. Sometimes they look a little bit better than others, just like Georgia did. I don't think we looked very good at it against LSU either. So I don't know a whole lot about our football team personnel-wise, to be honest with you, other than that.
Hey, Coach, Trey Biddy with hogsports.com. Welcome back, first of all.
Thank you.
So could you go into a little bit more about like how this happened? Did you reach out? Did Hunter reach out to you? I know that there were some players that wrote a letter also. How did this come together?
Well, I didn't know Hunter, and if I'd had his phone number, I'd just called him. But nobody'd give it to me, so. No, I didn't know him, and I figured that I knew a lot of people here, and So I tried to get people to him. And then Judy Henry, my agent out of Little Rock, she tried to get to Hunter, and then the process just happened through Sunday. It was that simple. And then had an interview and talked before, and I don't know. I convinced him. It was awesome.
Hey, Coach, congrats. JB92 won the ticket. How are you?
Thank you.
So, biggest question for me, I guess, would be you talked a little bit there a few minutes ago about watching the program struggle and keeping an eye on it. And obviously that was, I'm sure, emotional for you from afar. What are a couple of the biggest things you think you can do right away to get the momentum going for this program again?
We can breathe confidence, belief, work ethic from us as a staff, communication to our players. And you ever seen a program that was pretty good, not too bad, and then they started listening to Twitter or looking at Twitter and listening to the TV, and the next day you know they go like this? Same way we're recruiting. It's the same thing. Look, you can't be any good at anything if you don't believe you are. I mean, you can't. And we have to breathe life into – it's not that drastic, I don't mean that, but we have to hire a staff that believes in our players in the program. And then we all go out there and communicate to our players. And it's about hard work, it's about toughness, it's about all these things, but the number one thing we had to do is get our players to believe that we can go win as a group. And the only way that's going to happen is if we show them we believe in them. And hopefully last night we showed that to start with.
Coach Pittman, this is Otis from Hogville and Pig Trail Nation, man.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Talk about, I know you're up against it with the early signing period and recruiting stuff. When do you start the in-home visits, and just how much of a staff can you think you have in place by the weekend stuff?
You know, I talked to Hunter about some of those things too. I think we can get in a home as soon as tonight. But the other thing about that is the staff. I'm gonna have, I don't know how many, a few before the end of the week. It's more important to me that we try to get some of these kids that are committed to us, and then make sure that we're right on who we hire here. And we can get people right now. It's just, how do you know if they're the best if you're not talking to 2 or 3 of them to figure out who you really want to hire? It's not a deal where you're saying, oh, I'd like to have this old boy, and he turns you down to go to Panic City. That ain't – we just go to plan 1 at the 1 AAA. It doesn't matter. We've got a good list of coaches. But right now I've been pretty busy, you know, other than having time to talk to them. And we were busy before Hunter, before the University of Arkansas gave me the job, very busy. And where people were off that week, we weren't. You know, we were getting ready for the SEC championship game. So I'm not going to tell you I'm behind by any stretch with the hiring of the staff, but I'm pretty cautious because I know after Saturday it goes dead again.
Sam, Nate Allen, the Nate Allen Sports Service.
Yes, sir.
And I was wondering if you've talked to Barry Lunny and kind of what his future would be with your staff, and also if you talked like to the strength coach staff, and what do you plan to do about it?
I heard the first part.
Carroll and the strength coach, do you plan to bring in your own, or what's your plan on that?
Well, I haven't talked to the strength coach yet, and so I don't want to comment any further on that one. And And I would prefer that you maybe talk to Barry about what his feelings are. Barry and I are really good friends and have been for a long time. I have high respect for him as a man and as a football coach.
Hey, Sam, Bob Holt, Arkansas Democrat Gazette. You can take your shoes off if you want to, whatever makes you feel comfortable. Hey, you've been an offensive line coach, great offensive line coach for a long time, but it's not often that offensive line coaches get head coaching jobs in the SEC. Were you wondering if this opportunity would ever come? How long have you wanted to be a head coach, and to get it here? I mean, what does that mean to you?
I will say, I like that question, by the way. Again, it's kind of amazing to me that all us old O-line coaches kind of hang together, you know. So when I got the job, I had a bunch of those 500 texts were from guys in the Big 12, guys in the SEC saying, finally, one of us broke through to get a head coaching job. And they were so excited about it. When did I the head coaching part of it, I'll be honest with you, there's something inside of me that just wants to be the best, driven at the best of what I do. And so I was comfortable being an offensive line coach because I was driven to try to continue to be a good offensive line coach. And there's a lot of work in that. But I was a head coach a long time ago in high school, to a couple high schools and a JUCO, and I enjoyed it. But when this came open, I felt like I was ready for the job, and so that's why I pursued it. There were some other jobs out there when I was a little bit younger, head coaching jobs that had a little bit of interest in me, but I just didn't feel like I was ready to be a head coach, and I do now, certainly.
Demetrius Johnson on the Hill Sports Talk. You seem to be very honest and open and transparent. Could you take us in kind of the conversation you had with the players, and what was the energy like?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I told them that they didn't choose me, but I sure as hell chose them. That I wanted to be here. I think they felt it. That we have a lot of work to do. That I was going to, and I did. I took my phone, I put it up, and I said, this phone is blowing up about people that want to come and join us. Not me, the people in that room. My phone blowing up because people want to be a part of us. And I thought that was a really good feeling for me, because sometimes folks may not think Arkansas, or may think Arkansas has had a little bit of hard time, and maybe we have, but that was before. And I know a lot of people more than just in our room think we can get this thing turned, and so we're certainly going to work hard at it. But I told them it was going to be a tough team, a disciplined team, that I told them we need to finish strong at the end of the year in academics, and I just told them how grateful and thankful I was to be their head coach, and that we'd communicate, and I wanted them to come see me. And I don't know if I'm a player's coach. I don't know what that means. You write it down. I really don't know what that means. Player coach, a guy that communicates with his players, then I'm a player's coach. But I don't want things festering. So I told them. But I was just told them how grateful I was to be with them.
Drew Ammon from the NBC in Fayetteville. Welcome back, Coach.
How you doing, man?
Doing great. Hey, I had a question about just obviously your love for Arkansas, and if you could expand on the fact that you mentioned up there your conversation with your wife and how she was the first 6-star you ever recruited.
Man.
What were your conversations like with her?
Huh?
What were your conversations like with her about coming back here potentially, and how it all played out?
Well, I went from the doghouse to the penthouse pretty fast. You know, Jamie's from Pittsburgh, Kansas, and we did not get a divorce when we left Arkansas for a year, but she did not talk to me for a year when I was in Athens. She just loved Arkansas. She was like me, and when the opportunity came to come back, she was ecstatic, and she's still that way, and honestly, so am I. But it's hard to explain the passion that you have for a program, and it's a lot easier to show it. And when I was up there, nobody wants to cry or tear up or anything else, but man, if that's how you feel about it, then more power to it. And that's how I feel, and that's how she feels. So I don't know. Always just been a Razorback. I think it has something to do with family in Russellville and loving the Hogs and sending us sympathy cards when they won the Orange Bowl and beat OU and all that kind of stuff. You know, it would have affected me. I was an Arkansas fan, but still, it's been that way. You know what it really is? It's the people. People of the state. You ever been any place like it in your life? There ain't nothing like Arkansas. It's the people. So who don't want to be a part of it? I do. So did Jamie.
Yeah, Sam, the reality of this is 2 back-to-back 10-loss seasons and 19 SEC losses in a row. How daunting is the task in front of you?
Oh, I don't know. We don't have a whole lot to do with that, to be honest with you. If I didn't think we could put out a good product out on that field, then I wouldn't have come to Arkansas. It's going to be a challenge, but Kirby and them got a challenge at Georgia too. I mean, challenge is a challenge, and we got a ways to go, but we're going to work at it. We're going to go after it.
And Grant Hall from Hog Radio. Coach Pittman, what was your first exposure to the game of football, and what about it did you love?
Well, are you talking about real playing or back in a yard? My brother had a Los Angeles Rams helmet, and we were in the backyard, and my brother's 9 years older than me, and I think I was about 5. And he'd punt it to me and then comes, knock me out. And I don't know why I thought that was fun, but it seemed to be that way. And I started playing football in 6th grade, 5th grade. And I was a fullback back then. I was built a little bit better then, 6th grade. And I got hit coming out in the flat. Guy knocked the air out of me. And that'd be the end of that. Then I went to O-line, but I had one of the greatest high school coaches ever in Charlie Cooper at Grove, Oklahoma. He taught me a whole lot more than football. Tell you what he taught me. He taught me that I can take my mind and my body much further than I ever thought I could. And made you tough. And he was great about that. And at the time, I don't think we appreciated him as much as we do now. And I called him and I told him how much I love him, how much I care about him, just simply because there's a lot of things that I probably would think tough now that really I don't, because of my high school football coach.
Sam, what's your timetable for getting some of the staff hired and completing the staff? And how satisfied are you with the salary pool? I assume you and Hunter have discussed.
We have. I'm very satisfied. I'm sorry. Are you through? I'm sorry. God dang. God dang.
Go ahead and answer that one.
Okay. First one is I'm very comfortable with the salary pool, and I think we can do what we need with that salary. And then what else you asked me?
Well, listen, the follow-up, the first part was what's your timetable for getting some of the staff hired to help you recruit? And then what's your timetable for getting the staff completed?
We're going to have some of the staff as early as today, tomorrow, and then I don't really have a timetable for. It would be nice to have some more people in here, so maybe we can get another guy or two, maybe get to 4, 5, 6 guys on the staff by the end of the week. But some of them still coaching, and then so we just got, we have to figure it out a little bit. But we have to have enough to go recruiting, and have to have enough to keep the guys we have. And if we can keep the guys we have, then we're going to have to get full-fledged, ready to go, and have a heck of a second signing day. That's just reality. And so let's go get it. Let's go get the best ones left. And that's what we're going to try to do.
In the fall of '79, I think that's 40 years ago. I never was very good at math. But what led you to come over here to camp? And could you ever imagine 40 years later you'd be the head coach here?
No. I mean, who could? Especially whenever I was running that 4.8 out there, and they were like, "Hey, Pittman, you go over to this line right here. That's the line. Well, they ain't gonna look at you no more." So like, okay, here you go over here. You go, you over there, and there I sat. Me and this other dude over there, and I go, we ain't never getting looked at. So why I loved it, I don't know. No, I don't know. I came over here in '79, was just 75 miles from there, and Lou Holtz was the man. I'll be honest with you. We skipped the OU Arkansas highlight film that night. Me and 2 of my friends. And we in our room, promise you. Hey, what the hell, Lou Holtz. And he said, man, if we have a function, you boys are supposed to be at the function. Man, I'm nervous. That's probably why I didn't get a scholarship, because I missed a meeting. It wasn't about my talent. But I should have not missed that meeting, man. Be a legend on the field at Arkansas. But no, it's crazy. Shoot, no, you never would have imagined all that. You never would. But in my heart, I'm ready to be the head coach at Arkansas. I mean, I am. Feel good about it. I need some guys around me. I have a wonderful athletic director. He's been very, very good to me in the last 2 days and everything that I've asked.
Sam, as far as the defensive side of the ball, just kind of what kind of defense you want to run, and what are you looking for as far as a defensive coordinator?
I like an aggressive defense, but I like the fact that when they're in big, we're in big. In other words, I like what we called before it meant. In other words, it's an odd 4-eye deal. It's this far from bare. And when they go big, right now it's kind of the trend in the SEC for guys to go odd inside shades on the tackles. But the bottom line is you can't double team them, and I like that. The University of Georgia plays that kind of ball. And then, they talk about wreaking havoc. If you stand still in this league, you're going to be in trouble. So you have to have some type of movement, some type of disguise, some type of late disguise. But to be honest with you, trends come and go. And if you're an odd front and you're a fire zone team, that has come and it has gone because people have answers for it. And so right now, the new thing is, which I like, is what we call the heavy front, where it's a shade 4-eye, 3 and a 5. And all we really ever got last year is some type of one coverage so they can put another guy in the box. I like that, but you're going to have corners and safeties. And if you can do that, man, you can make it hard on the team, because now your extra runner as a quarterback has a defender responsible for him. So I want to be aggressive. I do want to move, but the 2-gap systems of things are almost a thing that
All right, looks like we lost the feed there for a sec of Sam Pittman at his press conference. We should be getting that back up shortly. I don't know what's going on as far as a technical difficulty, but we're kind of hearing more inquisitive questions, kind of like Tommy and I were alluding to about the media asking that. Just kind of more stuff that he's interested in, kind of divulging into what he's trying to do. It sounded like that he's going to try and implement some of the same stuff that Chad Morris did and just do it with a more physical force. Let's pop us on, see if we're back on. All right, we're still not on. So I'm going to see, we're on Ruskin and Zach to see if they've come back on. Zach has not popped on yet. All right, so we're just still here live reacting to the Sam Pittman press conference here on ESPN Arkansas. HitThatLine.com. Some of the other quotes that stood out, I think, was the fact that he said that he's trying to assemble his staff and he should have, and I quote, 5 or 6 guys, hopefully, 4, 5, 6 guys, hopefully by the end of the week, which I found kind of interesting. So we're going to, let's see, Tommy's suggesting I take a commercial. That's not a bad idea, so we're going to do that real quick. Sorry, technical difficulties going on right now, guys. All right, we'll be back with more updates from Sam Pittman's press conference as well as getting into Ruskin and Zach right after this.
This is the Morning Rush.
I don't know if Sam Pittman's going to be a great coach for Arkansas or not, but I do know that he is bringing some elements into Arkansas that they have been missing. They're going to be great on the offensive line, which they haven't been great in quite some time. They're going to be great in recruiting. They're going to be great with their energy and playing hard. And those things alone, I think, are going to go a long way for Arkansas and Sam Pittman.
Carr will be late to rest Thursday. Today's the day Arizona attorney Paul Peterson is expected to be in Arkansas.
95.3. Art's Barbecue Burgers and More wants to help you feed your family this holiday season. Have the pros at Art's smoke or deep fry your turkey or ham. Art's has affordable packages available for any size family or crowd. Or drop off your turkey or ham, and we will take it from there. Art's Barbecue Burgers and More is much more than their famous barbecue and burgers. During the holiday season, let Art's cater everything, from breakfast to dessert. Art's Barbecue Burgers and More, next to Aaron's on Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith.